Good morning, everybody. It's time for morning manna. And this morning is all about obedience produces better. Obedience produces better. How was everybody on this morning? Wonderful morning it is. What a great morning it is. I just got to be honest with you. For the first time since I can remember, I overslept. Can you believe that? Literally. I mean, hit the snooze and I snoozed. How about that? I hit the snooze and I sure enough snoozed. But I got it together this morning. Here I am with Morning Manna. How is everybody on this morning? Man, I am still walking in the wake of a wonderful, awesome prophetic revival. Oh my God. How many of you watched it? How many of you watched it? How many of you watched it? Put it in the chat area if you watched any part of the prophetic revival. If you did, what was the impact? Put it in the chat area. I want to hear from you. Have a little conversation before we talk about obedience produces better. Obedience produces better. Good morning, Brenda. How are you? Good morning, Angela. How are you? Good morning, Elder Mobley. How are you? Join Elder Mobley 12 noon today at New Life and New Life Sanctuary for prayer. Good morning, Brother Pope. How are you? Good morning, Dawn. How are you? Good morning, Minister Sent. How are you? Lifting you up in prayer. Good morning, Pamela. How are you? Good morning, Lena. How are you doing on this morning? Let me know. Put it in the chat area. Good morning, Deacon Joe. How are you on this morning? Peggy, how are you? Patrice, how are you? Jewel, how are you? Did you watch? Did you go? Did you attend? And good morning, Pamela. How are you? And so I want to know what are your thoughts before we get into obedience produces better. Obedience produces better. That's what we're talking about on this morning. And I just want to ask the question, did you watch? What was your response? And today's morning manna, this morning's manna, has to do with a little bit of a connection with that. How about that? Did you watch? It says, I watched and was absolutely blown away. Yep, yep. Sure enough. Sure enough. Sure enough. Let me see somebody else that says, did they watch it? Did they watch it? I want to see. And what were your thoughts? What were your thoughts when you did, in fact, watch it? Yep. Good morning, Ramona. Did you watch? Were you there on there, Ramona? And the impact that it may have had. Obedience produces better. That's what we're going to, that's what our manna is on this morning. Verena said, amazed by the power of God. Yep, indeed. Amazed by the power of God. Anyone else? Anyone else on this morning? Did you watch the prophetic revival? Did you attend the prophetic revival? And if so, put in the chat area what was your takeaways from it? What was your takeaways from it? We're going to get into the manna. This morning's manna, hold on, is all about obedience produces better. Obedience produces better. And that's what we're going to deal with. Okay, all right. Don't seem like I got any more comments about it. So let's jump right into this morning's manna. This morning's manna is all about obedience produces better. First Samuel 15:22. Obedience is better than sacrifice. How many times have you heard that? The first thing I want to share with you with respect to the text is God desires heartfelt obedience. The prophet Samuel emphasized the obedience to God's command is more important than ritual sacrifice. True worship begins with a heart fully surrendered to God. In other words, God is saying, look, don't bring me sacrifices if your heart is not in it. And if your heart is in it, then there's going to be some obedience. Sacrifice without obedience is empty gestures. It's just you're just going through the routine. And he's saying, I need your heart to be in it. And when your heart is in it, he says, if you love me, you will obey me and you'll keep my commandments. You'll obey me and you will keep my commandments. Here's the second thing I want you to grab a hold of. Obedience reflects true faith. Obedience reflects true faith. Obeying God demonstrates our trust and faith in Him. Saul's partial obedience was disobedience, showing a lack of trust in the instructions that God has given. When we choose to follow God, it's an all-out thing. What does it mean then? Here's the third thing I want you to grab a hold of. Blessings follow obedience. Blessings follow obedience. What do you mean by that? I am sharing this particular devotion that obedience produces blessings. What do I mean by that? This past prophetic revival from Sunday 10 o'clock service and then Monday and Tuesday night talked a lot about what God is doing in the past and has done and what we need to do moving forward by counseling various things and stopping. And then a sacrifice that God moves forward. But the sacrifice means nothing. The giving the offering is what I'm referring to, means nothing if we see all of the awe of God, the wonder of God, the sheer miraculous move of God, and then don't obey His word going forward. And if we do, it will produce, here's the takeaway. And if we do obey His word, it will produce blessings. But if we only see and be in awe and just check that out and walk away and don't obey, we won't see all of the blessings that the prophet spoke over our lives. Obedience produces blessings. Wow. I'm still in awe, and I have every intentions on obeying, moving forward with my sacrifice. The Lord be with you today. May His face shine upon you and give you peace. This bless you, bless somebody else. Don't keep it to yourself. See you at noonday prayer today in the sanctuary. And remember, right after prayer, we're going to drop the midweek worship service online, Walking Through the Bible. Hit the Streets is the title of what I'm teaching. And then we'll drop it again at our normal time. God bless you. See you Sunday. Fight with your faith. See you tomorrow morning.